Cheers and welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, I'm brewing the pumpkin lager, not ale, brewing the pumpkin lager, and I'm gonna give it away. Yeah, you heard me right, I'm gonna give it away. Keep watching, this is gonna be huge. This is not gonna be the shortest video out there, but I'm gonna work to make it as short as I can. There's a lot going on. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing, definitely appreciate the support. Yeah, got a big old yeast starter here with White Labs 830. Only looking to use half because I'm debating about using it for another beer. And yeah, 830, German lager yeast from White Labs. I ordered it direct. Don't want any more headaches. Then, what do we got going on? Oh, not even a big grain bill. It's just a lot going on. So, on the yeast starter, and yes, I'll leave links down below, and if you click on it, great. It may or may not be affiliate. It may or may not throw me some chump change. It will not. This is not a profit center, but it might reduce some of my costs. But yeah, this stuff, I just like it. It saves my butt. I will warn you, if you buy it and you don't use it right away because they put a little bit of CO2 in it for pressure to help the can keep from getting dented, it will carbonate it, and you will have to pour it, and you'll have to give it a little bit of time, and pouring the water over will help. So, let's keep moving. I got Valencia oranges. This time I got 6. Last time I think I used 4. I'm gonna double check my notes, but I have a problem, huge problem. First, thank you to Whole Foods for having them. My wife's like, you should have bought organic. I'm like, they only had one kind. It's the same kind I buy every year. Yeah, sadly. I thought it was cologne. It's pesticide. Yeah, my wife's got like this amazing nose. She can smell anything. It's pesticide. So I'm still gonna use them, but we're gonna have to give them an ice bath and vinegar. I would use Star San, and I will rinse them with some Star San afterwards, but the problem with the Star San, I think you may have seen it in a previous video, is that if you spray this with Star San and you don't wipe it off immediately and rinse it really good, this gets really sticky. Yeah, like super sticky. Yeah, we don't want that, okay? I got some special malts in here too I bought. Whoa, everything's falling on me. Okay, got my Trader Joe's Bourbon Vanilla. Sorry, don't have a link for that, but you can go find some. I've got Whole Foods Organic Pumpkin Spice. Now this, they had 2 kinds. It's the same everything. One was like 3 times the price. Fancier bottle. I went with this. And this is a bourbon barrel aged pumpkin ale, if I didn't tell you. Lager, sorry, keep saying ale. It's habit. And we'll explain how we're gonna do it without a barrel, yeah. Now, previous batches, I've done just under 5 pounds per 5-gallon batch of pumpkin. 2 years ago, I did just under 6 pounds. Massive diminishing returns. I did not get any more flavor. I lost a lot of my beer to the pulp from the pumpkin. I feel that I could probably get away with 2 or 3 pounds, but it's not a pumpkin ale or pumpkin lager without real pumpkin. Yeah. Don't waste your time with fresh pumpkin. Too much effort, too much work for very little return. What you do is you buy your pumpkin, which I buy different pumpkin almost every year based on either price or what's available. And I just grabbed it early, and I should have gone over to another grocery store where I get some really good stuff for really cheap, but I paid a little extra on this. Yeah, almost $3 a can. Could have got it cheaper on Amazon, delivered. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Publix, you're ridiculous. Okay, so the key with the pumpkin, you buy puree, you spread it out on foil, you put it in your oven, and you roast it. Then you flip it over and you roast it again. You just want to caramelize it. And then you dump that directly into your fermenter. So you want to do that later in the brew, not right up front, later, okay? How are we going to do bourbon barrel aging without a bourbon barrel? Well, first of all, it helps if you have bourbon. And pick your bourbon carefully. I picked that bourbon, this one, Total Wine. It's brewed in Kentucky. It was based on the flavor profile. I wanted a rich bourbon with a nice deep vanilla flavor. That's what I went for. It's gonna complement the vanilla. I have done some tests recently with a mead, and I'm gonna want more vanilla and a little less bourbon. Otherwise the bourbon's gonna stand out even more than I want it to. And we're gonna measure that with milliliters. And this is my bourbon barrel, yeah. Now, I have a problem with these, and I've done some research recently on Brew Your Own. These have dust on them. Even when you open them, you're like, oh wow, there's a little bit of dust. I don't want that on my beer, and I don't want to put it in during boil. I want to put it in during fermentation or right after. So I'm going to put it in right after fermentation. How am I going to fix that? Well, I was reading Brew Your Own magazine recently, and they were talking about that if I dip this in spirits, which would be the bourbon, that I need to dump that whole bourbon in there too, and I don't want to do that because that's not real good for measuring. The reason being is the vanilla and the nice oakiness is going to get leached out from the bourbon. So instead, what they recommend is taking these, putting them in a hot oven, and just lightly heating them up nice. Basically, you want to heat them without adding more char to it. This right now is a American oak medium plus toast. I'm all about American oak when it comes to flavor. Hungarian's pretty nice too, but don't give me no French oak in my beer. But sorry, anybody who's from France, but yeah, not the flavor profile I'm looking for. And taking this, you want to heat it up, and it says 1 stick per 3 gallons. So I'm probably going to use both sticks. And then I may splash a pre-measured amount of bourbon in like a baggie with it and then dump it all in. That way I get my bourbon, but I need to measure the bourbon, like I said, and I'm going to do that by milliliters. I'll make sure to include that in one of the videos. But yeah, so there they are. I may or may not use this. I got this from White Labs, and yes, I paid for it, but little Zinc Buddy, it adds a little bit of zinc, which is supposed to help with attenuation, clarity, improved sensory, and helps you ferment a little faster. I like attenuation. I don't really want it to be too dry, of course, on this one. And I don't care about clarity because the pumpkin's definitely going to keep it from being clear. Improved sensory, I'm not sure what that means, but I may or may not use it. I'm debating on it. I'm leaning towards it. So I'm using the newer Anvil. I am using something I keep forgetting to use, small batch adapter. If I didn't tell you, I used proper starter, saved me a lot of time on that. And there it is. Okay, let's go over the grain profile. I got some specialty grains you're gonna love in here. I didn't change the recipe that much, and I don't change it that much each year, but the recipe is extremely complex, but it works. And that's why I'm keeping it where it is, and I'm just doing minor changes. I'd say each year, but this has been 2 years ago. So first, the specialty grain. I got this from More Beer. Yeah. It is crisp, number 19, Maris Otter, floor malted. Floor malted, which I've heard nothing but great things about floor malted Pilsners. I'm expecting the same out of this. Yeah, I'm just very excited on that. And normally I would have used crisps, just crisps, or there's another brand I use occasionally, but they're Maris Otter, but this is floor malted. I normally use Best for the dark Munich. This time I used crisp also. Pretty sure. No, Weyermann's. Sorry, Weyermann's. But I have 6 pounds, 8 ounces of the Maris Otter, 1 pound, 2 ounces of dark Munich, 1 pound, 2 ounces of flaked wheat. These are blended together malts that I'm gonna crush, but I got 10 ounces in here of Victory Malt. I have 8 ounces of Honey Malt, 5 ounces of Caramel Malt 10L. Told you it was a complex recipe. I have 5 ounces of Rye Malt, which is around here somewhere. Don't even know where the heck I put that, but it's okay, we'll find it. Oh, I see it over there. Why don't I mix my Rye Malt in with my regular malt? Because it requires a slightly finer crush because the malt size is slightly smaller. Got to keep that in mind when you're crushing your malts. Then we have 4.2 ounces of Aromatic Malt. We have 4.2 ounces of Crystal or Caramel Malt 40L. I have 8 ounces, which I increased this percentage a little bit, just like I did with the Honey Malt at 8 ounces, but this is 8 ounces of brown sugar, dark brown sugar. Let's add it in the last 5 minutes. Now I have 5 ounces of corn sugar in here. There's no corn sugar in here. That is to account for the pumpkin. That is what that's for. It's also going to tell me that my beer is going to ferment out a little drier, which may not be true because it's pumpkin, not corn sugar. I'm just using it as a placeholder, and it's something to be aware of. When you put a placeholder in there, it may show a slightly different fermentability in your application that you're using, and I'm using Beersmith. So didn't have a thing for pumpkin, so I didn't add pumpkin. Then for the hops, we have a 24-minute addition, and it is 1 ounce of Hallertau Magnum. It should get us around 30 IBUs. It is to balance it. I don't want a bitter beer, but I don't want a beer that's overly sweet either. It's a balancing game. Then, of course, we have 830, which is our German lager yeast for fermentation. We are looking at approximately 7.5 at a 1.010 finished gravity. I don't expect that. I'm expecting maybe 1.012, which would push that down in ABV. But I also don't know if I count it correctly because I keep messing up on the pumpkin. I'm getting better at it. And instead of accounting for the sugar, I account it for the total carbs, which is 5 grams fiber, 5 grams sugar, thinking it might be closer to correct, which will give us about 10 grams per serving times serving sizes or quantity in a can, and then times 4 cans. So we'll see how that works out. That will probably give me a little bit more, which will bring up the ABV without, yeah, we'll have to see what our final gravity, our original gravity is when we go. It's expecting 1.66. We'll see what it's actually going to end up at. It's also expecting about 250 calories. We're gonna mash in at 150 for 75 minutes. We're going to then go to 10 minutes at 168, mash out. Then we're going to do the boil for, yes, you heard me, 90 minutes. Then when we move it to the fermenter, we will dump in the pumpkin, roasted pumpkin, and the Valencia oranges. I may put that in the last 5 minutes and then move it over. Only the zest, not the orange. Don't want the orange, just want the zest. Very concerned about the pesticide, altering the flavor. That would kill me. And I know everybody's been watching going, wait a minute, you said you're gonna give this beer away. Yeah, if you're in Jacksonville on Halloween, I'm going to be giving away quite a few beers to parents and adults. If you are questionable on your age, you better have ID. If you don't, I'm sorry, it's a liability thing. It's private property. I'm allowed to give away beer as if it's a party. I just cannot sell it. Never have. Don't care about selling beer. Yeah, and what are we gonna be giving away? Well, we got the bourbon barrel-aged pumpkin lager. I'm going to do the Rice Krispie treat lager again. And if I have time permitting, I will also do a carrot cake brown ale. That's right, carrot cake brown ale. All very festive flavors and are appropriate for the Halloween evening. Yeah, looking to take that day off from work just so I can be ready, and maybe the day after so I can clean up or recover, one of the two. But yeah, hey, let me get this crushed. I'll post the brewing salts when we go to dump that in, and let's get mashed in. I gotta get the temperature up too. Okay, I've got 2 brewing salt additions. I know you're like, what? Okay. The reason I have 2 brewing salt additions is because one of it contains chalk and baking soda. And if you've watched my videos, you know I like to add that just before the boil. To keep it from foaming up, if you ever want to add those at that same time, you can add a little water to it and then put it in. Same thing with hops. When you have hop additions, if you're putting a bunch of hops and you got a really top level rolling boil, make sure with some hot water, ease it on in. Got that one from John Blickman himself. Okay, so we have the brewing salts added. I'm hitting everything with my paddle. And it's time to add the grain basket. This is the newer system with the little notches and the false bottom. But yeah, I have the small batch adapter in there. Some people say it doesn't fit. It does. It does. It does. Remember to align your feet to the back. That way you know where they are when you go to lift it out. If you smack it down too hard, like I just kind of did. Another trick. Hey, mash paddle, as I keep hitting things. I'm pushing down to make sure it's not lifted up. It shouldn't, but just in case. There's always that possibility. Okay, 5.36 ounces of rice hulls. Here we go, we're gonna get mashed in. Always put a little bit of rice hulls on top. Why? Because they float. We'll put some more in here in a minute. Got a really good grain crush, so I'm a little concerned, and that's another reason. The rye is, the rye and the wheat, you definitely want to make sure you take those into consideration. Oh, and make sure you dump it into the grain basket, not beside it. So many things to remember. You missed it, but I was getting ready to start the recirculation and everything, and I forgot like 1/3 of the grains. That would have not been good. I was wondering why it seemed so thin. Okay, if you missed that, I almost forgot 1/3 of the grains. Got them in there. Okay, let's get the cover on here. Get our lid and our recirculation going. I'm using the Anvil XP pump. Always push the hose in as far as I can and squeeze it all the way down. Okay, we're in, we look good. So now we open up the valve. I'm not seeing anything, but that's probably because there's some resistance. Oh, no, I see some liquid coming, just very slow. Turn the pump on. Open the valve up a little, or reduce the resistance. There you go, you can see it pouring. And all we want is a tinkle. Now, I will tell you, about 10 to 15 minutes in, you want to check that because sometimes it increases or decreases a little. Like right now, say it's decreasing, and as I set it down, it's going to increase a tiny, nope, decreasing. So I'll give it another turn. I got more. And you just want a nice tinkle going. Okay, you hear it kicking on. I just kicked it to 100% and 168 Fahrenheit. I had to keep it at 50%. I keep forgetting the newer one just seems to, yeah, the older ones need a little bit more power, but not much. So once we get up to 168, we'll be there for 10 minutes and then we'll go ahead and mash out. Lots of noises going on. Getting ready to mash out. We're done here. Just gotta pull it up, get up to a boil. Got a half gallon of sparge water going. And the Tangelos, smells like Tangelos. And yeah, beautiful. Gonna have the wife double check them. She's not here right now. But, trick. Vinegar and water? No. Little star sand and water? No. 2 big heapings of baking soda and a big old tablespoon of lemon juice? Yes. That worked really well. And then I rubbed them down after I washed them and I let them soak for like good 30 minutes. But yeah, that seems to be the trick. I'm gonna make sure it's organic next time. Really PO'd about that. Could not imagine that ever happening until it did. Okay, I'm gonna pull this out and let it drip. And if you wanna watch, great. Look at this, hold it up a little bit, close the pipe, and then it's less likely to come back on me. And let's lift this out. Remember, we got the feet, and the feet are in the back. So I'm getting ready to chop my head off in the camera. When you get up towards the top, slow down for a second. Make sure the liquid's not gushing out, and then set the feet on. That's what I just did to make sure I didn't get a splash over the side. All good here. We're gonna let this drip for a little while, and then I'll dump the half gallon of 170 Fahrenheit sparge water. Then don't forget, we have some brewing salt additions that are a little more on the alkaline side that I'm gonna add to the boil. Okay, we're done draining. I'm getting ready to kick it up to a boil. Once we hit a boil, we'll be there for 90 minutes, although we have a hop addition, and we have some other additions. But yeah, this is the alkaline brewing salts, and this would be your baking soda and chalk, which I'm going to add now. And I'll give it a nice little stir so I don't have to worry about it. When you add baking soda on a boil, it's gonna froth up, so you gotta be careful. There we go. It's gonna help bring out the maltiness, and that's why it's a little on the alkaline side. Okay, I'm gonna kick the temp up and we'll get rock and rolling. I've got lots of Tangelos to zest. That's a beautiful boil. That's what you want. Keep the foam to a minimum. Okay, so it helps if you hit record, but yeah, I just dropped the hops in here about 2 minutes ago. I put it in a hop bag. Why did I put it in a hop bag? Because the Tangelo, which smells so amazing. Okay, so I got an ounce of Hallertau Magnum. That's in the hop bag. Then I've got 4.8 ounces of Tangelo. Yeah. That's the smell I was looking for. Smells amazing. I'm gonna put that in the Anvil Hop Spider. That way I can dump it into the fermenter if I don't feel I get enough of that aroma. And I'm gonna add that in the last 5 minutes. I don't wanna go nuts, but if I have to, I'll stick it in the fermenter. I definitely need to boil it just because of, like I said, you know, we had that little bit of bug spray smell and I don't like that. I also need to weigh out my brown sugar, need a ½ pound of that. Gotta get the Whirlflock tablet. I got a lot of things going on and I don't have a lot of time going. So we need to get rocking and rolling. We'll be here for another 22 minutes before we go to chill it down. We're getting ready to hit the last 5 minutes, so yeah. 4.8 ounces of Tangelo, right on in there. I've got 8 ounces of brown sugar, about 1/2 teaspoon of yeast nutrient, and a Whirlflock tablet all in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir that in now. Okay, we just hit the 5-minute thing, so I need to hurry it up. Ooh, bubble, bubble. Okay, This is the Anvil hop spider. As you can see, I can measure it before I put it in. That way I get maximum contact. Oh yeah, the Tangelo is floating. I'm excited. Ah. And then I splash wort into my face. Yes. Hot wort, 212 degrees in my face. Got too excited, you know what I'm saying? That hurt a lot. It should be okay. Probably a little red, it's all good. As I joke when I burn myself, if that's the worst thing that happens this year, this decade, I'm all good. Be careful with that Anvil hop spider. It goes deep in there, keep about an inch or two above, and you know, your spoons are only so long, so just be careful. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna wait about another 4 minutes. We'll get this chilled down. While it's chilling down, I'm gonna go prep my pumpkin and get that roasting, so when we move it to the fermenter, we can dump the roasted pumpkin in. Remember, you gotta roast both sides. Yeah, my face and my eyeball are still stinging. It'll be fine. I can see out of it right now, so I doubt I'm gonna have any major issues. It just burns and stings. Okay, we'll be here for a few minutes. There we go, we're done. Let's kill the power. I think that's it. Yep, no power, and kick that up to 39. We're good, no more heat. Less time to drop in the jaded Scylla, which is already getting cool because I'm already running cool water through it. Oh crap, I gotta get the Tangelo zest out and the hops. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, it's got a nice smell too. Okay, let's get this bad boy in there. Okay, I'm gonna go crank up the cold water so it chills down a little faster. Okay, yeah, we're already hitting close to 180. I'm gonna go roast the pumpkin. We're gonna get this in the fermenter, get everything chilled down, and then we'll rock and roll. Okay, I added 12, that's right, 12 teaspoons of, yeah, it's like I think 4 tablespoons, but yeah, a pumpkin pie spice. Previous was about 11, and sometimes I added it into the fermenter, or actually into the keg. This time I threw it all in the fermenter. I did add a big heaping tablespoon of the Tangelo zest into the fermenter, and I've added the Zinc Buddy. We'll see how it goes. I added the Clarity Firm. I need to mist or clean real quick. It's clean. I just like to re-clean it just before I use it. The chiller, get it onto the glycol system and get things rocking and rolling. Okay, I have a doubles pitch worth, so I'm only gonna pitch half, a little more than half. I'm keeping some of it because I may use it for another beer that I'm looking at doing. Yeah. I think that's 800 milliliters and almost 800, it's more like 780. So we'll go to just below the 600 mark, right? No, just down to almost the 400 mark, yeah. Pull that off. The nice smell. That's a lot of yeast. I'm not gonna have any problems with fermentation. And technically I can pitch a little more because I'm gonna build this up. That way I don't get any kind of bugs or any other weird stuff in there. Okay, we had a successful day. I'm at 1.068 if I remember right, and that puts me about 0.002 above where I thought I'd be, a little bit above expectation, which is good. I added the pumpkin, it didn't change. It kind of scares me. Oh, I need to keep that on it. I haven't seen any gnats today, but I want to make sure I don't get any in there before I get it all closed up. This is going to ferment for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Then I'll make sure to include a little bit of video in the taste test when we actually put the oak spirals, toasted oak spirals with a little bit of bourbon and add some bourbon vanilla. And then we'll move it from there to the final keg where I will be serving it on Halloween. Yes, on my front porch. Cheers, appreciate you. Thank you, I appreciate you showing some appreciation.